everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Maggie. I'm happy you're here. I am kicking off an eyeshadow panning project for the new year. So I've done pan that palette for a number of years. Last year I did pan in every palette and that was really fun. I enjoyed rotating through my collection. So I wanted to do something kind of a mash between those. I like having variety in my everyday routine, but I also want to focus in and see some pans and finish up some shades. So I'm going to be doing like a rotating style pan that palette, I suppose what you could call it. I don't know, maybe one of you have a more creative name, so if you have something, let me know. But essentially what I did is I broke up my palettes. I have 10 eyeshadow palettes. I have kind of a small collection, but eyeshadow is the largest group of all categories. It's just my favorite category. So I have 10 palettes and I wanted to make sure I had time to use all of them throughout the year. Most of my palettes are from ColourPop, and the nice thing about ColourPop palettes is that the shadows inside of the palettes are magnetic, so you can pop them out and put them into Z palettes. So I have a little Z palette put together, and I've got a couple of other palettes that I'm going to be working on. And I just kind of want to rotate through my collection this year. So I've decided to split the year up into 3. So I'll be doing 4-month chunks. So I've got January through April, May through August, September through December. Had to double check my notes. So that's how I'm going to be breaking it up. So the first 4 months I'll be working on the same palettes and same shadows, and then we'll switch for the summertime, and then we'll switch again for fall and winter. I think that's going to work out well for me, and I like kind of the pairings I put together. So in my notebook, this is actually my planner, but in the back I always put extra pages. I use a golden coil planner, and that's my favorite part is I can customize it. So I created this visual of all my palettes. I saw this on Instagram before and I loved this idea. So everything with the dashed lines here indicates that I have pan in the shade, which is kind of fun. And then the ones that are blocked out are either, the ones that are dark are decluttered shades, and then this lighter one, which got a little smudgy, is one that I actually finished this past year. So I thought it'd be fun. We can kind of track this together and update my spread. And then I have my one other palette here. It didn't fit. And we can also keep track of pan percentages and just all that really just fun stuff, that comes with panning. So this is going to be kind of my visual that we'll be using. And, yeah, I think it'll be a really good time. So my goal for the year is to hit pan or finish 13 shadows. That just felt like a good number to me. And kind of where I want to see my collection going is having more pans, more usage, but I also would like to start finishing up some shades, especially kind of the utility shadows that I use, every day. I use a matte cream every day to set down my primer and to highlight my brow bone and to help with any cleaning up or blending. So I need to start working through those shadows. So that's kind of the goal. 13 is my magic number for the year. Maybe I can surpass it. We will see. I'm kind of light-handed with eye makeup, so 13 is a little bit of a challenge, but I think a doable challenge, still the same. So let me share with you the palettes that I'm going to be using for this first chunk of the year. So right off the bat, I have my Natasha Denona Glam palette. So this is new to me. I recently got this in December. It was kind of a end of year gift. My birthday's at the end of the year, so that's what I picked out to get myself for my birthday. And I did rearrange the shadows in here. These have holes in the back, so I just used a safety pin to pop all the shades out, and I rearranged it in a way that makes more sense to my brain, and I'm really glad I did that. So this is what my palette looks like. I rearranged to have 2 rows of shimmer at the top and 1 row of matte at the bottom. So obviously I've only had this palette for, goodness, a month, if that, not even. So I don't have any pans or anything, but I really would love to just keep getting to know this palette. I'd love to use every shade at least once, just again to try it out, see what I think, because sometimes shades look different in the pan than they do on your eyes. They have a different tone, or they're lighter, they're darker. So I definitely want to use every shade in here at least once, and then also just, get some more use out of it. I typically like kind of cooler tone vibes in the winter. Where I live in Minnesota, it'll be winter until April, so that's no problem to kind of lean into this palette. So this is the first palette. And then the second palette I have is also from Natasha Denona. This is the Mini Retro palette. So I do have one pan in here already in this Galaxia shade. It's kind of hard to see because it's in the corner here, but I do have pan in it, which is exciting. So this was in my pan in every palette last year. I hit pan and then I moved on to other things. So I haven't reached for it a ton, but I would love to pull it back out. There's some really beautiful kind of pinks and greens in here, and with Valentine's Day, with St. Patrick's Day, and just kind of the cooler tone vibes, I think this would be really complementary to the Glam palette. So my goal in here also to use every shade at least once, to, get some use. And then, if I could hit pan in something in here, that would be awesome. I would really love to see another pan in here, but I don't really know what I'm going to be feeling, maybe this light pink or this mauve shade, but we're just going to kind of see where the first month brings us. And then whatever I'm reaching for, maybe I'll dive into further. But this is the second palette. And then the third palette is my Z palette. So this is a little 9 pan, except I probably can fit more than that in here. Z palette, and these are pretty much from ColourPop palettes that I have. So I'll just kind of show you first, and I'll talk through what I have in here. But this is meant to be kind of complementary to the two main palettes. So everything in here, is kind of complementary. I don't have to use it, but I thought, it would be nice to have a few other shades. There's also a couple of gaps between these two Natasha Denona palettes that I wanted to fill with this. So let me kind of talk through what I have here. So this first one, this is a light pink shimmer. It's called Fantasyland. It's from the ColourPop Fade into Hue palette, which is my rainbow palette. So this I thought would pair nicely with some of these pinks. I can use that as an inner corner shade. I can also just kind of dab it on top of a lid to kind of give a little bit of extra shine or brightness. I really enjoy that one. The middle shade here is called Coastline, and that comes from the Wild Nothing palette from ColourPop. So it's like a really nice kind of icy shimmery shade. I use that as an inner corner highlight when I don't want pink. So this has a dip in it. I would really love to see pan in it by the end of the year. I just think it's going to take me a while because I really only use it in that isolated area, but still it's nice to kind of have some basics in here. And then on the end, I have Full Expose, which is from the Bare Necessities palette. This already has pan in it. So my goal is to kind of finish it up this year. And then, I'll probably end up going through like 2 of these. But I would like to finish it again. That's what I use to set my primer, brow bone highlight, help blend, all that kind of stuff. Moving into the second row, this matte brown here is called Pebble Beach. That's from the That's Taupe palette. Just a nice brown. And again, if I needed to reach for something really fast, I could always come into this palette. It has the basics for me. The middle shade is called Silk Teddy. It's a shimmery kind of, bronze champagne almost. And that's from the Bare Necessities palette from ColourPop. And then at the end, I have Constrictor, which is kind of like an olive shimmery. It's kind of brown, kind of olive, and I thought it would pair nicely with, again, some of these greens in here. There is a shimmery green and a matte green in the Glam palette, but this one, as you can see, is a little bit deeper. So I thought that would pair nicely. Just, kind of pulling some things out to get use out of. And then the last row here, I have ABH Bonfresco. So this is a single from ABH, but I thought, this is a little bit more purple in tone, and it could pair with some of those pinks. Then I have this Zikist, or Zikist, I don't really know how you say it, but this is a matte purple, again from Fade into Hue, the rainbow palette. I like to use this as a liner shade, just for a pop of color. So I thought that would be nice, and maybe I could hit pan, we'll see. It's kind of a aggressive goal, but it would be nice. And then I have Spyglass, which is also from the Bare Necessities palette, and the black matte that I'm using right now as a liner. So I use eyeshadow as liner. I don't even own any eyeliners anymore. I just go with liner colors in my collection. I brush down with setting spray, get the pigment, and then draw it on. It works really well. So I'm able to hit pans, through some of these standard uses, like the inner corner, the setting, the liners, but I also would love to see some more pans in these different palettes. So those are the shades that I'm working with for the first 4 months here. I do plan to do a monthly update. I will be tracking, uses per shade, because I really would like to use every shade at least once. And then, some of them hopefully get some good dips, maybe closer to pan. But those are going to be the first kind of I guess, groupings for me to work through. I will be tracking my pan percentage as well, and since we have the visual, it'll be a little bit more fun, but I thought I would start by sharing my initial pan percentage. So I have 135 pans of eyeshadow in my collection. I do have 2 cream shadows that are in a stick format, so I'm not counting those, but truly pans that I could hit pan on. And I have 17 shadows in my entire collection with pans, so that's 12.5%. Last year, my goal was 20, and I did hit it, and then, I got rid of my sultry palette, added in a glam palette, and lost some of those pans, but I'd really love to get back to that 20% mark. That was really nice. When I opened up my palettes, I was seeing a lot of pans. It felt very used, and it just made me happy. So I'd love to get closer to that 20%, and by rotating through my palettes, it helps me not want to buy a bunch of palettes, because then I think about, well, how would I get pans in them, and how would I manage all of it? So I could see myself buying maybe 1 or 2 palettes throughout the year, but I really don't anticipate more than that, just because I've already got so many great palettes here. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the year. I hope it's going to be fun. I'm excited to kind of get going and start tracking again. I really value having a everyday makeup basket that I put just, the blushes that I want to be wearing that kind of match the eyeshadows, a couple of lip products, like a go-to bronzer, go-to highlight. I just like to have a curated little basket to make it very easy and like autopilot when I'm getting ready, especially for work mornings. I don't wear a ton of makeup for work. I work from home, but I like to have a little bit of something because it's fun and it helps me kind of like feel awake for the day. But I like to take out some of that decision fatigue. So I think having 3 main palettes, I still have plenty of options. Neutrals, rosy, I can go more green, I can go kind of purple. And here there are all of these beautiful silvers, taupes, golds. I'm really, really happy with this selection. This is totally up my alley. So this has been fun to play with, and I'm just really excited. So that is the idea. I would love to hear what you guys are doing for the year. I know I've seen a few people kick off pan that palette, pan those eyeshadows. So let me know what you're doing so I can follow, you throughout the year and cheer you on and see your excellent pans that you'll hit and all the shades that you'll finish. Because I don't know, eyeshadow panning is like a special love in my heart. It's really, really satisfying for me. So that's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. And again, let me know what you're doing in the comment section so I can cheer you on. And otherwise, I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.